Good morning. We are going to do day 4 of our 7-day series today. We are doing Develop and Use Your Faith. I'm using Bible.com. They have some awesome reading plans. And this has been a great series and a great reminder for all of us, and some great tools for us. So day 4, we're going to jump right in. The requirement for receiving God's wisdom. In our last devotional, we talked about how when you ask for God's wisdom, He reveals it in your spirit, that hidden place. But there's a critical requirement for God to reveal that wisdom to you. You have to ask for it in faith. James chapter 1 verses 6 through 8 tells us, excuse me, so sorry, hiccups. But let him ask in faith with no doubting, for he who doubts is like a wave of the sea driven and tossed by the wind. For let not that man suppose that he will receive anything from the Lord. He is a double-minded man, unstable in all his ways. You can't vacillate between two opinions. If you don't anchor yourself in God's promise that He will give you His wisdom, you will be blown about by the opinions of others, by your feelings, by the way the circumstances look, and you won't receive anything from God. Not too long ago, I went with some friends in a small boat to Catalina, an island 26 miles off the coast of Southern California. Just as we were arriving at about 8 in the evening, the engine seized. We paddled in to a depth where we could drop the anchor. After calling vessel assist, a storm came up and the wind began to blow and the rain began to fall. We had to wait a couple of hours before help arrived. You know what? If we hadn't dropped anchor, the wind would have blown us somewhere out in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. My friend, you have to drop your anchor. You have to ask in faith. You can't vacillate. You can't be double-minded if you are going to receive the wisdom of God. And I just want to go back to this part right here. If you don't anchor yourself in God's promise that He will give you His wisdom, you will be blown about by the opinions of others, by your feelings, by the way the circumstances look, and you won't receive anything from God. So I have a few different thoughts on this. When we doubt God, we deny Him, His blessings, and His wisdom. When we remain faithful, though we can't see, we glorify Him and we position ourselves to receive His wisdom and mercy. But we can only receive it when we ask for it faithfully without wavering. So that really means a few different things. One is if you ask for something from God, ask for help, ask for wisdom from God, but you don't really believe that He can provide it, that He can deliver it, then chances are you're not going to get it. And you know, with God, seeing can't be believing. Like it's not that way with God. You have to just believe, and you have to just have faith that He's going to do what He says He's going to do. The other part of that really speaks to me is when we're in situations and we have a choice to make a biblical biblical reaction or a societal reaction. So like you can choose to respond in a way that God asks us to behave, or you can respond in a way that is very normal for society to see and react. And you have a choice, and you can choose to have faith that the decision, or that the reaction, the godly reaction, is the right reaction, or you can waver and make a choice to react in a way that will you'll fit in more. Maybe it's more expected from society, but it's not necessarily godly. And you have that choice. When we anchor ourselves to God, when we anchor ourselves on God's promise, then we have a lot easier time making those godly decisions, those godly reactions, those godly requests, full of faith as we move forward. Um, and it gets harder and harder if we keep doing what society expects us to do and stop doing what God expects us to do. Um, so just, bringing it home, we have a choice. We have a choice to anchor our faith in God and not waver and not doubt Him and just do what God calls us to do, or we have a decision to do what society wants us to do. And if we have faith that what God wants us to do is the right thing and we do it full of faith, then we will be so blessed. He will provide His wisdom, He will provide His mercy, and just so, so much more. And again, we'll read this verse. But let him ask in faith with no doubting, for the one who doubts is like a wave of the sea that is driven and tossed by the wind. For that person must not suppose that he will receive anything from the Lord. He is a double-minded man, unstable in his ways. So let's just let that sink in. Let's just let that sink in, and just really think about that next time you have an opportunity to ask something in faith. Just remember to have faith in God and have faith that He can deliver and will deliver in His way, in His time, what you need from Him. So thanks so much for joining me today. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I look forward to tomorrow.